Medical provider reveals the impact of Medicaid cuts to its bottom line. Planned Parenthood Great Rivers says it will cut staff. While all health centers in the St. Louis region will stay open, some administrative workers will lose their jobs. Starting August 1st, those workers, along with some people in human resources, research, education, and marketing, will no longer be employed. Planned Parenthood says there is a risk that the agency could lose more funding. The group says if that is the case, 200 Planned Parenthood health centers in 24 states around the country could be at risk of closing, and this would leave more than 1 million patients without help.
More federal